Hello! Sorry that I didn't have a video up last week. Unfortunately, I got sick with a cold and my voice went, so it sort of wasn't a good time for me to make a video. I've decided I'll do 2 this week so that I'm still on schedule. Okay, so this week, well today, since there are going to be 2, I'm looking at The Leaky Cauldron. And what I really want to focus on here is information, misinformation, and the source of information. Because when you study pretty much anything, though there are certainly areas of study that talk about this a lot more in depth. For example, psychology is a big one, where you really have to pay attention about your information, where it's coming from, and whether or not it's reliable information. Like I said, most areas of study are going to include this, but when you're talking about the human brain, you sort of really want to know how information is getting to you. And how you actually measure that is there's 2 words, and I've already used one of them, which is reliability. And I'll give you the proper definition of reliability. The quality of being trustworthy or performing consistently well. And specifically in psychology, it's the ability to continue to get the same results. Like if you do an experiment, it's a reliable experiment if you can get the same results consistently. If you're getting different results all over the place, then it is not a reliable test. Information is not reliable if it's proved false the majority of the time. The other word, which I haven't brought up yet, but you're going to hear paired with reliability a lot, is validity. And validity is the quality of being logically or factually sound, which really means that the information makes sense. So why am I suddenly throwing words at you? Well, Harry is going to have a lot of points in time throughout the series where he does not have the information he necessarily should. And in this chapter we actually see an argument between Mr. and Mrs. Weasley about what information he should be given. Makes no sense not to tell him. Harry's got a right to know. I've tried to tell Fudge, but he insists on treating Harry like a child. Arthur, the truth would terrify him. Do you really want to send Harry back to school with that hanging over him? For heaven's sake, he's happy not knowing. I don't want to make him miserable. I want to put him on guard. You know what Harry and Ron are like, wandering off by themselves. They've even ended up in the Forbidden Forest, but Harry mustn't do that this year. When I think what could have happened to him when he ran away from home if the night buffs hadn't picked him up, I'm prepared to bet he would have been dead before the Ministry found him. But he's not dead, he's fine, so what's the point? Molly, they see Sirius Black is mad, and maybe he is, but he was clever enough to escape from Azkaban, and that's supposed to be impossible. It's been a month now, and no one's seen hide nor hair of him. I don't care what Fudge keeps telling the Daily Prophet. We're no nearer catching Black than inventing self-spelling wands. The only thing we know for sure is what Black's after. But Harry will be perfectly safe at Hogwarts. We thought Azkaban was perfectly safe. If Black can break out of Azkaban, he could break into Hogwarts. But no one's really sure that Black's after Harry. Molly, how many times do I have to tell you? They didn't report it in the press because Fudge wanted to keep it quiet, but Fudge went to Azkaban the night Black escaped. The guards told Fudge that Black's been talking in his sleep for a while now, always the same words, he's at Hogwarts, he's at Hogwarts. Black is deranged, Molly, and he wants Harry dead. If you ask me, he thinks murdering Harry will bring you-know-who back to power. Black lost everything the night Harry stopped you-know-who, and he's had 12 years alone in Azkaban to brood on that. Okay, so Harry isn't actually getting this information directly, of course. He's overhearing this. And it's sort of a lucky thing to be overhearing it, because at the start of the next chapter, Arthur does aim to tell Harry something about what's going on, but it's right before they're getting on the train, So if Harry hadn't overheard this and reassured Arthur that he knew, then Harry still wouldn't get as much information. Nor, again, I'm going to skip a little bit into the next chapter, but I want to talk about other things in tomorrow's video, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Okay. Harry, swear to me you won't go looking for Black. What? Promise me, Harry, that whatever happens, why would I go looking for someone I know wants to kill me? Swear to me, whatever you might hear. So, obviously, even having overheard this, there's still something that Harry's not actually getting. And that information, of course, is that Sirius is Harry's godfather, and the secret keeper, supposed secret keeper, to his parents. So the fact that Sirius directly betrayed Harry's parents is what might make Harry go looking for him. So the problem here is, how much of this information can we trust? Is it valid, and is it, oh God, reliable enough for Harry to take it into account? Especially when no one's giving it to him directly. We know Harry needs information here. You cannot make bricks without clay, as Sherlock Holmes points out. Data, data, data. It's something that he needs. So, we're getting data here. The problem is, you need good data. You cannot have misinformation, or it's just going to muddle things. It's going to be those red herrings that we talked about before. So Harry's actually got to figure out, of the information he's hearing, what's important and how to respond to it. Because the thing is, as much as Arthur is trying to get Harry, you know, to, like, just keep your head down, telling somebody not to do something is automatically going to make them think, why shouldn't I do that thing, and what happens if I do? The other thing is, if you withhold information from somebody, they will, in knowing they need data, go looking for that information. So you've got a lot of issues here because Harry's not getting enough information. It's going to cause more problems in the long run by simply not telling him. And that's the fun bit with Molly saying, he's happier not knowing. The problem is, how can you say he's happy about something he doesn't know? In fact, we find out that he is happier knowing. Like, the moment he finds out that Sirius Black's supposed to be after him, he knows in the back of the head he should be freaking out, but he also knows that he's handled Voldemort before. He's faced death a couple of times, so he's not actually, like, that concerned about himself. He's certainly concerned about his friends. And he thinks to himself, ah, it makes sense now. Because he now knows why Fudge, like, let him off when he ran away from his house. Because Fudge was just glad that Harry was still alive. He knows now why Fudge, 1, didn't insist that Harry return to the Dursleys, and 2, insisted that he only remain in the Leaky Cauldron, and Diagon Alley, and not go to Muggle London. And he knows why now Arthur has been so jumpy around him. He's actually gaining a lot of understanding through the information he's getting. But he hasn't figured out whether or not he should start testing this information. Hamlet, spoiler alert here, Hamlet finds out from the ghost of his father that his uncle killed his father to take the crown and his brother's wife. Hamlet could, in all honesty, walk back into the castle, pull out a sword, and stab Claudius. Problem is, 1, if he did that, he'd probably be killed very directly, and suddenly the kingdom has neither a king nor an heir. So that's an issue. But the other issue is, Hamlet is not sure if this ghost and what it's telling him is really his father and saying the truth. For all he knows, it very well could be a demon who's just trying to get him to kill a good man. So Hamlet has to go through a series of tests for Claudius to figure out the truth. And he does in fact find out that Claudius did in fact kill his father. Harry here hasn't gotten to that point yet. He hasn't figured out quite how to ask the questions he needs to ask in order to get any more information. And it's also a possibility that at his age, that information is not going to be given to him. We can see that very much with the fact that Molly doesn't want to give him the information. Fudge certainly doesn't. Fudge doesn't even want to give half the needed information to the public, who are running scared that the serial murderer is out. But one of the things we've also figured out is that Harry simply doesn't know how to ask the right questions right now. He's got all these people freaking out, and with Fudge, the question he really asks is, can you sign my permission form to go to Hogsmeade? That should not be, if you're trying to figure things out, of course, your first question. But as a 13-year-old, it is. He hasn't figured out how to test the information to get both validity and reliability. How do you get reliability? Well, that one really you're going to have to start asking multiple people and seeing if, at least the majority of the time, you're getting the same information from different sources. Which, Hermione does this. Hermione, knows how to test for this information. It's exactly what she does with the basilisk. How do you get validity? Well, that one you're going to have to start making logical steps. You see Arthur do this when everyone's like, oh, Hogwarts is the safest place ever. And Arthur's going, he broke out of Azkaban, which everyone thought was impossible. He could break into Hogwarts. So you have to start testing the information that you actually have. And that's going to give you either more information, confirm the information you have, or it's going to basically say, okay, that information's worthless, and you can toss it off to the side. Final problem here. What happens if all the information we're getting is misinformation? He's at Hogwarts. He's at Hogwarts. The information that he was saying this is probably in fact correct. Who he was saying it to in regards of is incorrect, because that is an assumption people have made. It's going to be easier to find him, because we know who we're looking for. Incorrect, because we don't know that he's an animagus. Having the Dementors on the Hogwarts grounds is going to solve some problems. They're at all the entrances. He can't break in. If we have no information or incorrect information, there are going to be problems. Because anything you test then for validity or reliability on misinformation that is widely held is going to cause problems. Because this is not straight out experiments like in psychology. This is fallible people with fallible information. Harry's working with the decks stacked against him. There are people who don't want to give him this information, and the people that do want to give him the information aren't fully informed themselves, nor has anyone really checked for validity or reliability in regards to any of this. Something as simple as Sirius was the secret keeper. You really could have checked that 12 years ago. We know from having read through that there are truth potions that could have been used. There's these weird memory things that you can check. No? When someone fails to verify the validity and the reliability of information at its root, the problem spread up from there. In fact, Harry very well can't at this point in time. The problem's too deep, and he can't dig that far with the resources he has. The boy has to go forward from here with a whole lot of misinformation and a lot of other information lacking. Would have been nice for someone to mention to him exactly what the guards at Azkaban are, considering they're referred to a lot, and no one says, oh yeah, they're soul-sucking dementors and really eat some chocolate afterwards. We don't get that until Harry's already been attacked. And no one seems to recognize that this is a problem. When information starts coming out, we're gonna have to start double-checking our facts. Because if we don't, there's gonna be a whole bucket load of problems at the end. And we're gonna end up making a mountain out of a molehill. Okay, so I'll be back tomorrow with the usual uploaded video, and again I apologize for the interruption. Until then, keep reading, and I will too. Bye!